All that glitters, in fact, all that is glittering right now seems to indeed be gold. Gold prices touched their 6-month high earlier this week, crossing the $2050 per ounce rate. And now, for the first time ever, gold prices in Mumbai breached the 62,000 rupee mark for 10 grams, selling as high as 62,250 rupees for 10 grams. Exactly a year ago, 29th November 2022, gold was selling for 52,500 rupees per 10 grams. It's up almost 19% within a year. Its previous peak was on May 11th this year at 61,500 rupees per 10 grams. Vivek Kumar, economist at QuantEco, is joining us here on Business Plus. Vivek, is India's fascination with the yellow metal going to cost the economy and going to cost the current account deficit?
Hi, thank you. Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. So I completely agree with the point that the precious metal prices have been on a run in recent months, and there are various factors behind. So there are global factors as well as few domestic factors which are kind of fueling that run. And we've crossed important thresholds, not just in case of dollar pricing, but also in case of INR pricing for the precious metal itself. Now, as far as the burden on the economy is concerned, I would say that it's still kind of manageable, because if you see the gems and jewelry deficit, so we would like to club all the precious metals together, not just gold. Although gold tends to be the predominant share in the gems and jewelry basket, but the overall deficit on account of precious metals imports, net imports, is somewhere close to 14 to 15%. Its share in our trade basket, trade deficit basket. So that's still doable.
I think, Vivek, you've gone on mute accidentally.
In terms of an overall, right. So we've been through worse in our past. As of now, we are about 14 to 15%, which is roughly in line with the long-term trend. The long-term trend would be somewhere close to 14 to 15%. So it's still not something which I would be losing my sleep about. But yes, looking at the trade deficit number for the month of October and looking at the sharp jump in gold imports for the month of October, although it was primarily because of festive seasons and a lot of weddings getting combined, we pick up news which do cite that there were a record number of marriages that took place in Delhi recently. So there was festive season, there was marriage season all clubbed together. There was an artificial demand boost for gold. We would hope some of these seasonal factors to go away as we move forward, and they do not really represent a permanent or a structural characteristic at this point.
All right. Well, I just want to bring a little bit of trivia, something that came in from Mr. Nilesh Shah, Prime Minister's, who sits on the Advisory Council of Prime Minister of India and also the Managing Director of Kotak AMC. And he had said recently that had India not imported about $500 billion of gold in the last 21 years, India would have been a $5 trillion economy. Do you concur, Vivek?
Well, it's a counterfactual statement, and there can be many counterfactual statements. If India wouldn't have done this, we could have been here. If India wouldn't have done this, we could have been here. But I think in reality, that's something which is not true. And Indians, like a few other nationalities, for example, Chinese, they have a natural affinity for the precious metals.
All right.
And the reason is that we see precious metal not just as something which helps us in our cultural or religious beliefs, but it also acts as a store of value, as one of the prime source or sources of value, which can be liquidated if need be. So there is a certain degree of safety angle also attached with gold. Of late, I think the investment community will also start. So no, investment community, not just in case of India, I think globally also there was an inflation scare globally that led to some amount of gold demand.
Right.
Of late, there has been a tremendous amount of geopolitical uncertainty. and that risk rose because of the Russia-Ukraine war,
Of course.
which was soon followed by the Israel-Hamas war. So geopolitics is also playing a role. And just to remind you, the Russia-Ukraine war is very unique because it invited a lot of sanctions against one particular country from across the world.
Right.
And these sanctions have kind of shaken the belief in the global financial system. So whenever something like this happens, people will tend to store some amount of extra wealth in safe haven assets like gold.